now that there is such a thing as a living evil, a dark and shapeless thing that lives not in the spaces that we know, but between them, in the dark, in the night. Now listen carefully, because there isn't much time. Listen and believe, because it's all true.
Where's Brucey?
On the ladder.
Hi, John. Bruce is right there by the camera.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming close to the star of our film, Bruce Campbell.
We wanted to do Army of Darkness as the second Evil Dead. We wanted to have it be called, Medieval Dead. Because at the end of Evil Dead 2, he lands and he's in a strange land, and so that's where Army of Darkness.
When Bob Kurtzman, Greg Nicotero, and myself got hired for Evil Dead 2, Mark Shostrom hired us. That was his show, Mark Shostrom. And the three of us were hired, and it was a great experience.
We, of course, were like loving it because it was one of our favorite film projects to ever work on, not just as a classic kind of genre picture, but as an experience.
And it really was a great opportunity because we had realized that each one of us brought a different skill set. Howard was sort of the on-the-floor kind of shop manager type of guy. Bob was really the sort of creative guy, and I was the business guy who had a sense of running the company. So we complemented each other, and it made complete sense. So K&B really came out of that realization that the three of us seemed to make a really good group.
When Army of Darkness came up, Rod Tappert and Sam Raimi said, hey, let's call the guys,
The movie was a very heavy physical effects movie in terms of creature creation and just the time period, the medieval time period, from wardrobe and props, etc. So as I recall, it's a very long pre-production period.
For us, it was one of those dream projects because Sam at that point had become a very, very sought after director. And you knew going into it that he would use every trick in the book. Sam was never shy about using puppets, about using makeups, about using miniatures. I mean, in Evil Dead 2, we had stop motion animation, for crying out loud. So it was really exciting to be able to work with a guy that imaginative and knowing that everything was going to be on the table. So for us, it was a big project. And given that K&B had been around for just a few years, it was also a good opportunity for us as a calling card to get people to notice our company, because up to that point we had done, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 and Tales from the Dark Side and Halloween 5 and Dances with Wolves. We'd done, our movies were kind of all over the place because we were really kind of laying the groundwork for K&B.
It ends up the show's being split between us and Tony Gardner's company, Alterian. And I would say that Alterian probably ended up doing maybe 30%, and then we did the rest. Because we did all the Deadites, tons of makeups. I mean, we were slammed. Tony's company was responsible for Evil Ash and Evil Sheila.
From Ash's facial scars when he's normal all the way through to Evil Ash at the end, and then turning into a skeleton, and all that stuff. There was really a lot more than we had in Darkman.
I remember one of the first things that we did was we built little maquettes of the skeleton soldiers, and we bought some skeleton model kits and we built them and we dressed them and we made armor, and we built a little set, and I put a mirror up and a little smoke machine and took pictures of it to make it look like there was a lot more than there really was, and we sent the pictures to Sam like, here's a sort of a proof of concept. we were really, really excited. You know, I did a bunch of pre-production concept art, and we had a whole team of people drawing, trying to get sort of Sam excited and interested.
Here on the set of Evil Dead 3, you really never know who's going to come up and stab you in the back.
We were shooting 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We were so exhausted. We were making no money at all. Again, I think like Bob and I think each made like $800 a week. And it was ridiculous. I wish I was union. I'd be a multi-millionaire after working on Army of Darkness. The hours were so hideous.
What is good in life, Conan? Oh, the hell and lamentation of the women. Die, Ash! That's a good one there, Bob. Sam Raimi, where are you? Rob Tapper, more money. Send more cash.
Well, that was a big undertaking, just building those puppets. Then on top of that, we did all the costumes, because not all of the Army of Darkness characters were animatronics. So we sculpted skull masks and rib cages and bones, and we put those all on leotards, and then we put clothing over top of that.
You're mean. I'm mean? You're mean. Not like you're skiing. No, not like you're roller skating.
I knew Greg Nicotero, Howard Berger from our days working with George Romero. Yeah, they were very generous and said, Patty, come on in. We need to make an army of deadites and build skeletons, and then we need this witch character, and it's going to take a lot of prosthetics, so we need a willing body. And you being a stunt woman as well, you know, you can handle the confinement and the physical requirements this job is going to entail. Now, I did not know what this meant at the time.
I think it was more challenging for us to figure out how to make the animatronic skeleton do a sword fight.
In Army of Darkness, there was literally a telephone book full of storyboards that were drawn, and every single day he'd show up on set, he'd open the storyboards, and he'd be like, we're shooting this shot today. And what always amazed me is that the storyboards matched exactly what the shot was. So he had pre-visualized the entire movie way before we ever rolled one frame of film. And I always found that really fascinating, that you could go through and look at the storyboards and go, oh, this is the shot we're doing. And it was, not only was it a great guide on set, but it allowed everybody to be able to work at their highest capacity.
Can you pan a lot faster than them and get to your final position sooner? Because when you gave me the counter pan, by the time I got to the end, I ran out of horses. So you have to make this pan a little faster.
By Army of Darkness, Sam had evolved his shooting style where he just kept the camera rolling. Sam was almost like it was HD at that point. It was just digital, just let it roll. So he would throw out a whole new paragraph for me to say. So half the dailies are me going like this. Waiting for him to stop, and then I go, and then I would say my line, then he wouldn't like that, so he'd try something else. I mean, the laboratory was while the camera was rolling, which is great. It's a really exciting way to work. And he keeps the camera rolling, so no one's allowed to go into his shot. You know, if you call cut, everyone comes in and everyone gets distracted, they go away, they have a cigarette. Sam's like, no way. As long as that camera's rolling, everyone has to stay focused. It was a good way to work. You never know what he's going to come up with on any given day.
I need that final spin on that last hit. Let's try that one more time. We're rolling. Pretty damn good. We're rolling.
Sam, he likes to play with you during a meeting. It's like, I've had 2 meetings with him in my life. And he came in and said, so, buddy, I'm going to tell you exactly where to put the camera, how high to put the camera, what lens to put the camera on. I'm going to tell you where to put the lights. I'm going to tell you what gels to put the lights. I'm going to tell you where I want the camera to move to. I'm going to tell you, how fast, what speed. I'm going to tell you everything to do. How do you feel about that? I said, well, you're the director, so that's good. I'll start from there. He said, huh, that wasn't the answer I was expecting. You're not going to fight me on this. No, I'm not going to fight you on it. It's like, it's my job to start wherever you stop. And he's like, oh, okay, good. I have no idea about lenses or height or any of that stuff. I was just testing you. He just wanted to see if he could push me around.
Sam's directing Bruce. Okay, buddy, now run around, okay. And Sam looked at us and went, watch this, I can make him do anything. All right, flap your arms like a chicken, buddy. And Bruce flapped his arms like a chicken. Now, squawk like a chicken. And Bruce like, bark, 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 bark. Okay, buddy, now run around like your foot's nailed to the floor. Run around and Bruce would do it. And Sam just looked at us and went, it's good to be the king, buddy. And I was like, this is so true. Sam will have Bruce do anything, and Bruce will do anything Sam asks.
I remember we were shooting the sequence where Bruce is going to get the book, and the book comes to life, flies around, and hits him in the head.
So that is exhausting. I've done that before, and it's unbelievable. It makes you have great respect for guys like Errol Flynn, who did that for a living. I don't know how you do that, but you do.
The only thing that saved me is I had no bad habits. I would go home and go to bed. You couldn't party during that movie. I defy any actor. The Army of Darkness has made me very jaded toward actors. I'm like, oh, it's cold out. Oh, you poor little thing. You know, fuck you. Army of Darkness was 6 weeks of nights, you know. If it wasn't some makeup appliance on my face, it was some other kind of rig or a shotgun or a chainsaw or something. The continuity was just ridiculous of what happens to him in this scene, in that scene. We would jump ahead and think that's what Ash would look like. But then when we shot it, that wasn't at all how it came out. So, you know, the continuity in those movies is really all over the place.
I finally had enough. I'm so exhausted. I went to Rob Tappert, who's the producer, and I said, we got to talk because this is day 22 without a break. And we got to talk a financial situation here. And Rob's like, all right, buddy, you know what? I'll be right back, and we're going to have a talk about this. So I'm waiting. I'm like, where the hell's Rob? And I go over to John Cameron, who's the first AD. I go, where's Rob? He goes, over there. And I just see Rob's car drive away. I went, okay, I guess we're going to go into day 23. And thanks, Rob.
This is for hard copy. Is it true that Army of Darkness is really Crime Wave 2?
Hey. No, it's not exactly. It's a sequel to Doing Time.
Ah! Fortunately, those words.
Time and a half. It's a Teamster story. Now, Bruce, in this scene, I want you to act very scary, but not too scary. Just the right amount, if you know what I mean. Oh, and put that special dark humor edge on it that you're so good at.
Let me try it, Sam.
All right, then.
Hey, you bony devils. Let's go.
Bigger, bigger.
Hey, you bony devils. Let's go.
Perfect. Now, can you give it to me just like that on set?
Bruce doesn't love being in makeup, but Bruce will be in makeup and go through it and be amazing.
Every day was ridiculous. Every day on the call sheet. A two-headed rig, you know, now I'm Evil Ash. So it's, you know, what you forget with the makeup and all that, it's 3 hours to put it on. It doesn't mean you go, and it's off. No, it's an hour to take that shit off. Then you're working with Sam, and that's a 14-hour day.
And Bruce was, you know, in the chair or in that makeup for hours and hours and hours at a time, and would reach a point where he couldn't take it anymore.
The guy drops you off, you lie down, and then someone's knocking on your door, and it's the guy picking you up in the morning. You're like, no, must be some mistake. I just put my head on the pillow here. The history of motion pictures. And I'm just going to say that. And any other actor can kiss my ass loud and hard. The only guy I have sympathy for is Ron Perlman.
You can give me some mouth motions. Hurry up there now! Crack that whip!
Okay, you hear that, John?
This guy can do that.
Sam's relentless enthusiasm for the material, his excitement about doing every scene, brought everybody up. It propelled everybody forward. Because making a movie is very slow and at times tedious and, yes, boring process. And Sam just cut through all of that. It was like working with a kid.
Sam, for me at the time, looked like an overgrown schoolboy. He was youthful in appearance with this irrepressible energy and this incredible imagination, which really set him apart from everyone else.
In essence, Sam is like the kid in your block who's obsessed with movies. And he'll make you promise to do things in his movies whether you want to or not. And his enthusiasm is so infectious, and his excitement and his imagination is so powerful that you just have to do it. And that's how he was like on the set.
It's incredibly exciting working with Sam because he not only knows what he wants going in, but he continues to grow that vision as you go. So a fairly simple scene can become quite complex by the time you're actually into the shooting of this scene.
He helps you access parts of your brain that other directors don't access because of the way he works, because of the way he thinks.
it was a bigger film, you know, and it was far more pressure for him than a bunch of goofballs at North Carolina running around in the swamp. A lot to contend with, more extras than he'd ever dealt with, more makeup effects that he'd ever dealt with, visual effects of the yin-yang. And he handled it great, and he always had a great sense of humor.
He was the sort of guy who would give an extra his chair. There was no delusions of grandeur or superiority. He was just a great, big, lovable kid with a hell of a mind.
I was shooting some behind the scenes of different things that we needed for our sets that we were going to be building on stage to match. And he took the camera from me and he went around and just asked different people what they thought of him as a director.
John, what's it like working on The Army of Darkness?
It's great. It's the greatest. It's been the greatest thrill of my life working with Sam Raimi, the director.
Why?
Because he's a genius.
He always kept it alive, and which is a very enjoyable thing to happen on a movie, because so many films you go through the experience and you don't remember, or you want to not remember what happened on the set because it's so difficult.
Sam's never ever lost his sense of humor and his love for movies and his thirst for teamwork. You know, that's one of the things I really like working with him, is that he wants you not to just be a vendor. He wants you to be part of the team, and he expects you to bring your skill and talent and expertise to his movie to make the best possible film you can.
You're isolated for a period of time with a crew, and you're living at the hotel and then the castle set.
I just decided to take the realistic approach, and my research was all based on reality. It basically looks like Spain, which was part of the problem because I had just come back from England and I wanted Army of Darkness to look like England, and just couldn't do it because everything was just so drab. It's, you know, it is a desert.
I remember Sam coming to me. He said, well, there's been some budget considerations. Nottingwood Forest is slightly smaller. Where would you like your tree, Bill? We had one tree and one castle, and the rest of it was a flat desert. So we went out there and placed the one single tree.
We built like 3 sides of this castle, like 270 degrees of this castle on the inside, a little bit on the outside up to the first story, and then the rest was matted in. It was all effects after that. But the thing stood for a while because it was a big, we're not going to take it down. It was not in our deal to take it down. They said, go ahead and leave it. They shot a few music videos there.
And then I frequented a lot of the Renaissance fairs. They are the people who do recreations of the time period. So they were immensely helpful.
So Tippi Hedren has this reserve for big cats, lions and tigers and no bears style. And you would at night, because we'd be shooting all night, you would hear them roaring, and all night long you'd hear lions roaring and tigers roaring.
And they actually ruined a couple shots, as I recall. You know, there would be a...
And I was like, oh my God.
And I thought, okay, here we go. We're going to clean that all up and do another take of that, which I don't think we did. I think we just let it dry in the sun. It was fine.
Every Friday, Sam and Rob, and sometimes Bruce would come to K&B and do kind of like a art review. And Sam wasn't sold on what we had done for the Pit Bitch.
That was actually played by Bill Bryan, who played this Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters.
I was asked to build the suit part of the Pit Bitch. Specifically, they asked me to put on the suit just so he could see what it would look like. It was, you know, I'd made saggy tits and, you know, various raggedy clothing. And so that I put that on, and the head and hands, and I'm standing around waiting for Sam to come out.
Bob and I dressed Bill Bryan in the full suit, had him standing on this board like it was on a dummy, and Sam's looking at it, he's like, yeah, I don't know, pal. And then Bill just leaped out at Sam, and Sam screamed. And he went, oh my God, it's the most terrifying monster I've ever seen. It must be in the movie. It's a hideous horror hag. And that's how we sold the Pit Bitch to Sam, because he wasn't hip on it at first.
He said, oh, all right, it's in the movie and I want him in it. So I both created the character and landed the role as well. They hid me behind a wall of burlap and moss and mud, and I stood there for an hour and a half while they dressed it and lit the scene, and then finally Sam and Bill Pope, the DP, came in and they set up the camera and got Bruce in position. I couldn't see anything, but I could hear it going on.
Keep that head alive and come after him.
Yeah.
You're a wild thing, a thing born of the fires of hell.
And my direction, when the time came, I heard, rolling, action, and come out, Monster Bill. That was my direction. And
Now!
This is not a good thing.
so that was my performance.
How many should we plan on? What do we have again? We've got 175. Yeah, probably should be 175, buddy. So we just planned on having everything ready every single day.
Now listen here, puppet. I want you to act very scared this scene, you get me?
Sam loves it when there's gags going on set and he gets into it and has fun with it. And he's always making voices for the puppets, hey, we're operating, he's throwing dialogue in their mouths, It's pretty funny.
You fellas, you're doing a good job. I better watch the rear flank back here. Yeah, that's it. You fellas, good luck to you.
We had 175 deadites every single night for like 4 or 5 months, and again 7 days a week, and then we'd have puppet gags, and we'd finish doing the makeups, get everybody suited up, and then we'd have to put all the puppets on, and then you're doing this, and you're trying to maintain.
Oh God, I'm tired.
Even if there was a night when we weren't there, they would cut the padlock off the trailer and go into the trailer and take the puppets out, and that was usually a big no-no.
Most of our day-to-day stuff was just running, puppets. They were digging trenches for us all the time because the puppets were 4 feet above us, so we had to drop us into trenches, all the puppeteers, to be able to walk at the same height the rest of the army, the actual actors were. They had them out there digging with shovels at one point. I'm like, this is going to take forever.
There were a lot of nighttime shoots for the final battle sequence, so I actually got on the movie as a PA for $100 a day or whatever, and I was out in Acton in the desert digging with a post hole digger digging mortar holes for the explosions, and which was strange because I knew I was like going to be editor of the movie, but everybody would say, oh, what's up? And I would say, oh yeah, I'm just kind of doing this spare time because I'm going to be cutting the movie in a couple of weeks when they finish shooting. And I think a lot of the other PAs didn't really believe it because it sounded like a weird story, but I just wanted to be involved,
I had a hand in a lot of stuff, doing a lot of pyrotechnic work, making explosives and rigging explosives. The catapults were a lot of fun. We were testing them in the parking lot at the warehouse where we were working, and we were throwing watermelons and stuff across the parking lot. We had a lot of exploding deadites that blew up, especially when they're launching the fireballs and everything over the castle walls.
We had made 40 rigid polyfoam deadites that were all in different positions, and we would just chop them up and however explode them, and that we burned through like the first night like 40 of them. And Sam's like, all right, buddy, well, let's do it again. I'm like, fuck, we're all out of them. And Bob and I would gather all the pieces and we'd refoam them like, okay, we got 40 more.
And then we'd blow them up again. So, nothing went to waste. We found something to piece back together every time. I wouldn't do it now as a young kid. At that time, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's stand next to an explosion.
We all had little bit parts. Fighting skeletons, we'd have our rubber skeletons, quiche, punching ourselves in the face. And on my back is a half skeleton with a knife sticking in my back. So we had made this half skeleton and this whole rig. And of course the skeleton was attached to the knife and the rig was strapped around my back. And I'm in the background flailing around and crawling on the ground.
I'm charging at the front of the thing and there's a skeleton and I wipe it out with my sword. And the funny part was I ran so hard that once I hit it, I couldn't stop myself. I had the sword, I hit it, and the sword just kept me going, So I fell right on my face. I went right out of frame into the dirt.
They completely forgot about me. So we were in the truck coming back, and suddenly somebody said, "Shit, we gotta get Ricky shot. We gotta get Ricky shot." So they pulled over to the side of the road. They put a platform which had wheels on it. They put a sawhorse on top of that. They put a horse saddle on top of that. They got me dressed. They gave me the mace. They gave me the reins. They put me on the saddle. Two guys off camera would rock the platform as if we were on a horse.
And I wanted there to be more horror. And so I was always saying to Sam, "Hey man, where's the horror?" And he would go, "Get this straight. Evil Dead was a horror movie. Evil Dead 2 is a comedy. This one's an adventure." After we had put together the first cut of the movie, I think he realized that we were a little low on the horror.
You shall die!
After we had shot the movie, there were a series of reshoots. And one of the reshoots was The Witch.
The witch scene was much more elaborate in the original draft of the script. In the original draft of the script, she gets possessed, and there's a big, huge fight scene there. It was set outside with these giant columns. And what happens is she gets possessed, she starts floating, and then she pushes one of the columns over, and the columns sort of fall over.
All of the pillars were going to come falling down and cave down all around him, and he was going to try to run from it, but no matter where he ran, the pillars were still going to fall down around him. And we actually built the miniature model. We shot most of the plates for it. We did some of the crumbling of the plates, but we couldn't really actually add the stage time that it was going to take to put Bruce into that whole scene.
Somebody takes a log and throws this log and jams it down her throat, and then her face swells up and she spits the log out again. That was like in the original draft of the script. So we had sculpted the makeup and sculpted 3 different transformation heads in different expressions, one with the cheeks puffed out and one with the jaw open so we could shove the log in it. And right when we started shooting, they cut the scene. And they were like, you know, we can't afford to do this. We're going to put our money into some other part of the movie. So we had started building all this stuff, and then that sequence went away. When they cut the movie together, they were like, well, we want that scene back, but we don't need to make it as elaborate. So let's put a version of that scene back in.
And that was shot like in a garage, like a car garage, like for 2 days. Bob Kurtzman designed and sculpted that makeup on Patty Tallman.
I did audition for Rob Tappert for The Witch. Now, even when I read the script, which was this description of this witch spewing obscenities at Bruce, you know, how am I going to audition for this? You know? So I went in, and I can't remember how we got there, but at one point I was on the floor just, "Yeah, you shall die." You know, he's just writhing around and just being crazy physical. And Rob was like, "Yeah, that's it."
It's how resourceful Sam is. Like, we're all out of money, pal, so we're gonna have to shoot in this restroom. But just imagine, it's gonna be great. It's the castle. This is where King Arthur lives, in this restroom. But so Tony Treadway, who was the production designer, built this really cool set, and we, you know, shot it. And
I'll never forget that makeup. It was the longest makeup I've ever been in. It was rather torturous. It was over 4 hours getting in, and it was 2.5 getting out of it. And then in between was a 16-hour day of shooting. It was hell. There were contact lenses for the eyes, that milky effect. And once they're in, I'm basically blind. So they would wait until we were actually shooting something to jam those things into my face. The hump was on a bodysuit that snapped at the crotch, and I couldn't manipulate that, so I just basically didn't pee for 16 hours. I had it all measured off in my head so I could do it blind. Then Bruce has that shotgun, and he shoots me about 14 times. And so setting up for that, I had squibs taped under my body on the different parts where the blasts were gonna go. And again, I can't see anything, so I really...
We're like, why? Why wouldn't you want that? So they said, no, new name. So Army of Darkness. People didn't even know it was Evil Dead 3, and there were lots of people who liked Evil Dead 1 and 2.
When I first saw the trailers that they did for the movie that Universal put out and how they promoted the film, I thought, this is not going to be good. I really felt like Universal did not promote the movie properly.
I think they didn't really understand what it was they had when they were trying to market it. And that's not an unusual problem. That happens a lot.
My big issue was just the name of the movie. I thought Army of Darkness is not even a bad name. I thought the tagline was good. Trapped in time, surrounded by evil, low on gas. They said, come on in, we're going to shoot a reference shot of your face with a smarmy expression. I'm like, for what? Oh, we'll show you. So then they put it on the Frank Frazetta type poster. I've signed that poster 100 million times now. I thought the poster was good. I thought the ad campaign was fine, but nobody knew that it was connected to the other movies. And I think that would have helped.
It was too strange for mainstream audiences at that time. It was too weird and too bizarre. So I think it took a while for people to sort of figure it out.
I think it cost 13 and it made 13. You know, those are the wrong numbers. Everyone today has in their head that Army of Darkness is like a hit. It's on American movie classics. It's an American movie classic. Ben-Hur, Army of Darkness, you know? But the thing bombed when it came out. That movie took like 3 years to make, but by the time you prep it, shoot it, they get in an argument, legal troubles, you still got to work on it. I'm a producer. So my salary from that movie basically kept getting chopped into smaller and smaller pieces. It wasn't supposed to last for 3 years. It was supposed to last for like a year. And I wasn't supposed to get divorced just before the movie either. So half that movie went away, then half of that, and then half of that, then divided by 3. I think I made as much as a shoe salesman by the end of Army of Darkness.
And the winner is Sam Raimi. Thank you very much. Great honor to receive this award. The winners are Joseph DeLuca and Debbie Elson for Army of Darkness, Tony Gardner and KMB Effects for Army of Darkness,
and Beth Davis for Army of Darkness.
The winner is Bruce Campbell for Army of Darkness.
Well, I feel all warm and fuzzy, I'll tell you. Needless to say, I'm very grateful for all of you fine and wacky and unique fans for sitting through ridiculous movies like Army of Darkness. All right, relax, I'm only kidding.
It's certainly a giant cult movie. I mean, you go Army of Darkness, people are like, oh, it's one of my favorite films. I think because it's just a great film. It's a really super fun movie. Anybody can watch it.
It's pretty cool to be involved with something like Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, because they become so classic, or and a big part of pop culture.
The truth is that on a dull day, it's nice to be remembered for something. I don't exactly have like wedding singer fans retweeting me or anything like that.
I remember I took my family to see my old fraternity house, and on the way in, I mentioned that I was in Ghostbusters. They said, oh, that's cool. When we were inside one of the rooms, I happened to notice an Army of Darkness poster on the wall. I said, oh yeah, and I was in that too. And they bowed down before me.
And what's amazing about it is, like a lot of, classics, and it is a classic horror movie, that it just keeps rolling on and on and on.
There have been 1,000 versions of Army of Darkness on DVD and Blu-ray.
Such variety in the film that you don't see. And although there are elements of formula in it, it's not a formulaic film.
And it's because each person discovers it. Each person is respected as a viewer. And each person discovers it for themselves, that it won't go away.
By the way, Army of Darkness, I will say this, is the only studio movie I've ever starred in that was financed by a studio and released by a studio. I've been in movies like Bubba Hotep. It was financed independently, wound up on MGM. But this is the first time and last time that I ever starred in a motion picture for a studio. And I'm glad to say it was Universal, because I think the fact that they made B movies, they didn't apologize for it, I still like Universal, even after Army of Darkness.
I am extremely grateful to have had the opportunity to be a part of this. I mean, these are really sort of guideposts in a life of music that has sustained me, sustained my family, and just has been a great, great adventure that continues even now.
we wouldn't even listen to people for 10 years of like, shut up, you don't get it. The movie died, the series is dead. You know, this is it, we killed it. We single-handedly killed the series. People are like, no, 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 and then the DVD came out, got more popular, the 87 versions of Army of Darkness, and then the questions just kept coming. When are we gonna have another one, have another one, have another one? Well, Sam has since become one of the biggest directors in Hollywood. You know, he made the Spider-Man series, for God's sake. I got on a show, Burn Notice, for 7 years. Life goes on, and you don't think about it anymore. But if you're a fan of those movies, you want what you want, and you want it when you want it. So we're like, all right, you know what? Rob Tapert's done a lot of TV, produced with Sam a lot of TV, I've done a lot of TV. Let's try TV. And came up with a notion. Sam worked with his brother Ivan, pitched the idea around, and it took. We had 3 different suitors who were willing to do this show as a series, and we picked the one stars that we felt could give us the same creative freedom we had on the first one. So we have a lot of creative freedom, and we have no content restrictions basically whatsoever. So I think finally we'll get the last laugh.
So I think the cool thing about Ash vs. Evil Dead is that he's trying to like make the horror more straightforward horror as opposed to like kind of the more slapstick or adventure direction that he was going after. And Evil Dead 2, of course, but definitely Army of Darkness. So it's there's the kind of humor and the kind of Ash being an idiot and his one-liners and his bluster and his blowhardedness. But there's still some straightforward horror stuff that I think is going to be like really pleasing to the fans.
The latest Evil Dead movie is 25 years removed for the most part, and people still won't let it go. I think it's just something about the movies, Sam Raimi's filmmaking. It's very inventive, it's very over the top. And plus I think Ash is a relatable character. He's very horribly flawed. He's caused the deaths of innocent people. And I think people, again, people who think that's funny, think that's really funny. Some people don't get it. They're like, why the hell would you have an asshole as a lead character? We're like,